Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japanese 101. If you've read the title, you already know what we're gonna do today. It's maybe long overdue, maybe not, I don't know. It may very well be overdue, actually. We're finally gonna look at kosoado words, because they're fun. By the way, can you hear that crackling sound sometimes that comes up, or is it just me? If it's just me, that's good. I hope it's just me. If not, then I might have to do something about that. But I hope it's not too bad. Let's jump in. Oh, that one is broken too. Naruto. Hey, Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun! Give me a second. Properties. Monitor. I need to change the monitoring device. I'm sorry, I unplugged my GoXLR and it's kind of screwed with all my settings. So now I have to actually change everything. Naruto senpai. Why? Your name is Naruto-kun no. Hey, senpai su ka? Sou su ka? Nandarou ne? Hai, minasan. レッスンを行います。これからはね。Today, we're going to talk about kosoado words. What are kosoado words? You're probably like, but Eve, what does that even mean? Does that even mean anything? Does anything you say even make any sense at all? And to that, I would say, yes, sometimes. And one of those times is probably going to be today. Now, this is probably not going to be such a difficult topic to discuss, so I hope it won't take us that long. So let's jump right into it. Today is going to be about demonstrative pronouns, basically, about pronouns that basically point somewhere, okay? And they're called kosoado, or at least that's sort of a name that's used to refer to them, because there's basically, they always show up in groups of four, okay? You always have these four. You have one with ko, one with so, one with a, and one with do. Okay, so let's first take a look. I'll give you an example of one that you might know. Hey, Suri. One that you might know, what you might heard is kono, right? Kono, sono, ano. I'm running out of space. And dono, okay? This is probably something you've heard. At least kono, sono, maybe ano, maybe dono. You've probably heard some of these, okay? So, today we're going to look at a whole bunch of these words, and how they work, and why they show up in groups of four, okay? Because thinking of them in terms of ko, so, a, and do actually makes it a lot easier. And for that, we're going to have to split them up, okay? Now, first, I will introduce basically what the... Jesus, how many more cars are going to go by my window? I'm going to split up how this first kana, this ko, so, a, or do, basically relates to the meaning of all these words. So let's start by making a little list, okay? So basically we have ko, okay? We have so. We have a. And we have do. Ko, so, a, do. Bam. Alright. See? Pretty good so far. Now, the easiest way of thinking about these words. Eugene! 5 months. Welcome back. Thank you very much. Hello. 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 I hope you're having a beautiful day. The way that we can think of these is that we can think of it basically in terms of a conversation, okay? Let's say we have two people that are talking to each other. Okay, you have like two people, like this. So this is the speaker and this is the listener, okay? Speaker, listener. For kono, it would basically be close to them. So it would be like a thing here. Kono, or ko. Ko usually means in closer proximity to the speaker, okay? That's what ko is usually used for. And now we just go from this sort of principle and continue. So so is generally used when something is closer to the listener. And remember, it's always this person here speaking, and this person is listening, okay? So this person here is using the word. So this person would use ko when it's close to them, and then they would use so when it's close to the other person. And then we can sort of keep drawing that analogy. We can just be like, okay, a is for when it's kind of further away from both of them. I'm very good at drawing people, as you can tell. So a is like, well, maybe it's over here, right? It's not really close to either of them. And do, okay, do is just a question word. So do is always for the question, which basically means we're just asking something. Question mark, right? That's how ko, so, a, do splits up. Remember this. This is the easiest like breakdown that you can imagine. Hirumi-san, konnichiwa. You just think of it in terms of, well, if I'm speaking and something is closer to me, then I use ko. If I'm speaking and something closer to the person listening to me, I use so. If it's kind of further away from both of us, I use a. If I'm asking a question about it, I use do. Okay? Ko, so, a, do. And that's how it breaks down. And that's all four that you can have. Okay? And now, basically now that we know this, we can look at two groups. Well, we'll start with two groups. Sorry, two. Yeah, right. Two. See? There, two. We'll start with two groups. And that's going to be the ko no, etc. and the ko re, etc. And we'll see how those are different. It's very important that you're able to distinguish between when I say kore and kono. Okay? Because it's a big cause of issues about not using kore and kono properly, or not really knowing that for beginners especially. So today I hope to clear that up once and for all. For all of you that maybe still are a bit curious about it. But remember this basic pattern, koso ado, this will always be the same. So our first group is going to be basically the four words kono, sono, ano, and dono. So these, okay, these are basically demonstrative pronouns, and they roughly translate to something like this, this slash that, also that, and what, or rather which. Which works a bit better in this case, which. Okay, why do I use this, that kind of twice? Well, the issue is that in Japanese you have like 3 levels. You have ko, so, and a. In English you only really have 2, and it's also pretty vague. In English it's like, well, you use this when it's kind of close to you, I guess, and that when it's kind of further away, but it's not a really clear-cut rule. So it's kind of hard to draw a clear line when you should say that like a sono is a this or a that. Doesn't really, but also most of the time it doesn't matter that much which one you choose. Choose, if anything, in translation, choose the one that you think feels more natural. Think about it in terms of Japanese. Think about it in terms of Japanese, like, okay, if I use sono, I'm referring to a thing that is kind of closer to the speaker. So would I use this or that in English? And that kind of makes sense. It's ja dame desu ka? No, yeah, ranking. So I would not think of sono as its. I'll get into much more of the detail of how you can think of thing. Describe that over there, I think. Yeah, that over there, but that's not always a natural way of translating something. So you can say that, yeah, so that, like, over there. Over there. That's good conceptually, but in the real world, when we actually translate stuff, we don't always translate ano as that over there, because it's cumbersome. Most people would not go out of their way to say like, oh, that over there. They might just say that restaurant, right? Ano restaurant, which that's exactly how you would use it. Ano plus a noun. Ano restaurant. We wouldn't say that restaurant over there. We could, but we don't really have to. It's fine. The nuance gets conveyed either way. It depends on the situation, how far you want to go with it. So these words, okay, what the important part of these words is that they need, okay, this is the important part, need to be followed by a noun. Oops, need to be followed. I can't write, unbelievable. Followed by noun, okay, that's the important part. These words cannot replace a noun, okay? They need to be followed by a noun. They are just words that point to a noun. If I'm showing someone who is near me something with my friend, would it be kono? Yes, it depends though, so I'll get into this. So when you use kono, sono, ano, dono, that's basically a this, but it needs to be followed by a noun. What I mean with this is I can say something like kono pasokon, right? Pasokon means like computer. So I'm having a brain fart right now. Wait, my brain is not working at all. Show me so. Right, oops. Katakana so was just not showing up in my brain for some reason. Do you have those moments where you're just like, you ask your brain for some information, the brain's just like, no, sorry, I'm on break right now. Pasokon. There, pasokon. Sono, kono pasokon wa. And then dot. Okay, always. I get those very. It's yeah, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? So we have our kono, our demonstrative pronoun, and it directly is attached to this noun here, pasokon. So now we can say, like, this computer, okay? I'll shorten it to comp, doesn't matter. This computer, kono no so ne, this computer. Now, it's very important, we cannot leave this out, okay? I'll give you an example, alright? I'll actually clear this space so that we have a little bit of space. In English, I can say, this is ... okay? And that's fine. But what am I doing here? I'm actually making this the subject of the clause. This PC, yeah. I'm making this the subject of the clause. This cannot happen with kono, okay? Kono cannot be the subject. It can only attach to a noun, and then the noun plus the kono kind of become the subject, okay? Like this here would be the subject, arguably just the pasokon, just with the added kono, okay? And that's really the important point, is that kono must be attached to a noun. It cannot replace it. So kono, sono, ano, dono, they all attach to nouns, and they always come in together with a noun. They can never be by themselves. You can never say kono wa. That never works, okay? Whenever you want to say a sentence like this is my PC, and you start with like kono wa, that's always wrong, okay? Never do that. For real, I can yeah. Sometimes remember write difficult kanji no katakana. It's true. So when you get to the point where you write something like kono, and then you want to say something like this is, right? You want to make it the subject, and you do this. That's bad. Don't do this. This is always wrong, okay? Never do this. Kono always needs to be followed by a noun. The reason why this is confusing is that if we really think about it, then the two words in the sentences, this is a computer, or a PC, I'll shorten it to PC because someone did that too, that's smart, and this PC is ... These are kind of different. Here, okay, here the this is actually a pronoun that replaces the noun. It replaces whatever we're pointing at. I'm saying like this, but I'm not saying this something. I'm just saying this. It replaces the complete subject. It's a pronoun that just takes the place of the subject. Here, however, it is merely helping us to point to the PC. It's merely it's like demonstrative, whatever that's called. It's just pointing to the PC. It's just saying this PC, as opposed to all the other PCs, right? So these are in English. The ironic thing is that English is actually the more complicated case, where you have these two different ways of using this word, which are a little bit different, but we use the same word. Hello, I'm new here. Hey, Brooke. Thanks for the follow. Arigato. We're doing a Japanese lesson right now, talking about ko, so, a, do words. So that's how in English actually things are a little bit tricky, right? Because you have this word this, and it works in mysterious ways. But in Japanese, it's fairly clear. When you want to replace the noun, you have to use something else. When you just want to point to a noun, you can use kono, sono, ano, or dono. To make it clear real quick about dono, so kono, sono, and ano should be pretty clear, right? For example, let's make one last example. We have the two people again. This is the speaker and this is the listener, okay? Okay, and he has a laptop, okay? Like here, this is a laptop. And he would say something like, he would say, kono PC, kono pasokon, right? Kono pasokon. Kono pasokon is what they would say, right? Because it's right here by him. If we take the pasokon and we actually put it over here, it could be sono. Okay. This is like, and now it's sono, right? Makes kind of sense, hopefully. Sono pasokon. And then last but not least, ano would just be if it's like over here, right? Pasokon. We would say ano if it was maybe like over here, right? It was like, if the laptop was like over here, it might be ano. This is the listener, right? Speaker and listener. If it's ano, then it's like, you know, it's kind of farther away from both of us. But how does dono work? Dono, the question word, can sometimes be a little bit tricky to think about, but really, it's just, if you think about the question that kono pasokon would answer, which is like this PC, what is that question? It would be which PC, right? Dono pasokon. Which PC is it? Ah, kono pasokon. That's how the question word in that group works, is that it actually just, it asks the question that is answered with the other ones in that group, right? Dono, which one? So dono, we would just say like, dono pasokon. Pasokon. Which is just which PC, right? That's why I translated as which earlier. Which. And again, same rule applies though. This is attached to a noun. It cannot be on its own. TC, I'm late. I'm late. Hey Beth, does achira, achikochi has the same word? Yes, it does. Achira, kochira, sochira, dochira. Koso, ado, same groups. Even, and you may, this may actually be a surprise to some of you, even, there's even words konata, sonata, anata, and donata. Anata and donata are still used. Konata and sonata are not really used anymore. You know anata from you. Anata. That's the origin of it, is also koso ado. That's it. And donata is of course who. Like which person. And you still hear sometimes like donata sama desho ka, like who are you? In this, yes. Okay, but now let's actually think about how we would do, how would we say, you know, how would we say this is a PC? How would we say that? This is a PC. Because we can't use sono, right? We just discussed we can't use sono because we can't say sono and then make that the subject. It cannot be, it needs to be followed by a noun. And that's where the second group comes in. Yeah, Suri already says it. That's the second group. It also has ko, so, ado, but instead of kono, sono, ano, dono, we actually use kore, sore, are, dore. Okay, let me write that down. We have kore. We have sore. We have are. And we have dore. Did I have this little space last time? Thanks for the follow. Follow. One word green. Nanda kore. Yes, kore wa pen desu. Yeah, that's the famous one, right? Hey, Atha. So now with these, is anna ever used as in konna sonna? Yes, it is. Yes. Anna. Anna is actually short for ano yona. And konna is used for kono yona. Now you're writing a bit bigger. Yeah, I think so. This is a PC. So now these are actually... So these, important. Never. It's the opposite, right? Never followed by a noun. Never followed by noun. Okay, kore is never followed by a noun. Kono is always followed by a noun. Okay, so kore always replaces the noun. Okay, these are replacements. These are when we say... This is my friend. These are when we make the this part, okay, the demonstrative pronoun of the subject of the sentence, when we make it the subject. When we say this is, or like, yeah, usually it's something like this is. It's usually like declarative statements, something like that. But that's how we use these, right? Kore, sore, are, dore. So now we can say kore. Kore wa. And now this is allowed, right? We can make it the topic with the wa particle, because this can replace the noun. This is fine. This is now allowed. Kore wa pasokon desu. Pasokon desu. Kore wa pasokon desu. This is a PC. I was wondering if you were going to explain this case dono and you directly is one you directly follow. This case dono is one you directly follow. Yes, so anything that has no, right? Like kono, sono, ano, dono, they all need to be followed by a noun. And kore, sore, are, dore never can be followed by a noun. So, kore wa pasokon desu. This is a PC. Okay? Now, the same applies to sore, are, right? Like either it's kind of closer to me or it's closer to the listener, or it's further away from both. I'll encore first and then the other some little backwards. Doesn't matter. I just chose randomly. It doesn't matter. You can usually when people learn koso ado, they learn kono and kore together, I would say. Then it kind of makes sense. And I think learning them together makes the most sense because you have to understand how they're different. Because they can both translate to this, but they're two different versions of this, right, in English. And again, I really, the way I think about it is that English is actually the complicated one. In English, we have two words that we use the same word for, but they're different. This dog is fat. There we've attached this to a noun, this dog. But in this is a fat dog, we've used this as the subject, this is. So there are two completely different ways of using this, which just seems intuitive to an English speaker. But to a Japanese speaker, that's confusing because these are two different ways of using that. So in Japanese, the difference between kore and kono is actually really clear cut. You just have to get used to it as an English speaker. Okay, これはパソコンです. And now real quick, let's talk about the question word as well. どれ? Again, the question word is simply the word that asks the question, which is answered by those three here. So what could be the answer? What could be the question to the answer this? Well, it could be something like パソコンはどれですか? Which one is the PC? パソコンはどれですか? Right? どれですか? Here, どれ is actually more like more used as sort of, I don't even know, you'd say like the indirect object of the copula or something, or the object of the copula. And we can also say どれが好きですか? どれが好きですか? Which do you like? どれが好きですか? There we make it the subject, right? Maybe we can go with that sentence. どれが? Again, with ga, right? It's kind of becoming clear that this is the subject, so that makes sense that we use the re version and not the no. パソコンはどれですか? Yes. どれが好きですか? Which one do you like? 好きですか? ですか? Which one do you like? And then we can answer with one of these. これが好きです. I like this one. Or それが好きです. I like that one. Or あれが好きですか? I like that one there. Something like that. どれが好きですか? That's some wide characters. Some wide boys. Let me just say. どれが好きですか? Which one do you like? This is like the most basic Japanese for me. Yeah, this is very basic, but a lot of people, I feel like don't put enough sort of, they don't have enough understanding of it when they first start. And that's why they get confused. How I say neither. どっちでもない. That's different though. You would say that different. You would say like, yeah, どっちでもない is how I would say it. Okay, これ、それ、あれ、どれ. Let's look at another group actually, that we can look up at. Let me see. Maybe it's here. Oh yeah, that's actually interesting too. I have some notes here that we can look up. So that's pretty cool. Now, I've mentioned a few more, so I'll just show you a bunch of these koso ado words now, okay? So that you can get an idea of like how many there are, because there's a lot of different ways to use this koso ado structure. これはパソコンです versus このパソコンは先生のです. Yeah, that's another good example, exactly. One where we have これ as the subject, and one where we have この as simply a pointer to パソコン, where just say this, it's just a demonstrative, I don't even know, they're not pronouns in this case, they're something else. In this case, not really a pronoun, I don't think. In これは, in this is, it's a pronoun, but I think in a demonstrative pronoun, but I think in this PC there it's not a pronoun. I'm not sure though. Or maybe it is a pronoun, I'm not sure with the English understanding of it. So, some words that actually belong in this group. So we have この and その, and, which we just talked about, we actually have, this is just an interesting demonstrative adjective. Yeah, I think it may be, right? We actually have, the one that was a bit surprising maybe for some, we have こなた, そなた, あなた, and どなた. So, I'm so sorry, do you hear this crackling thing? I don't know what that is. I really don't know. It only started happening when I started OBS today, and I don't know what causes it. I hope it stops. こなた which used to be sort of a you kind of thing, and then sonata also you. Like these are kind of hard. These are not used anymore, so I'll make them in like brackets. They're not really that common anymore. You barely see them. Konata. The one you do see, of course, is anata, right? You. Anata. And donata. That one sometimes you see as well. Just means who. Donata. Which person? Who? Just heard it, not too noticeable. Okay, yes. Ghost. I heard it just now, but it's not too bad. Yeah, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of... It's just enough that it bothers me. Anata wa donata desu ka? Yes, who are you? You would just leave out the anata though. So that's one. Another one that was mentioned before, we have... I'm not gonna need the brackets. We actually have konna, sonna, anna, and donna. Okay? These ones you may have heard as well. Konna... konna, sonna. We're gonna have to do a lot of writing today. Anna. Oops. Arky, hey, hello. こんばんは. Anna, which has nothing to do with the name Anna, or like Anna, like whatever, however you want to say it. Anna and Donna. Donna. Now let's take a quick, closer look at these, okay? It turns out that konna is actually a short version of kono yona. So it is actually just kono, and then something extra. Yona, kono yona. We have not really talked about yo yet. So for now, think of yo as like the way it is, like the appearance, the shape of it. Sorry, donna. I keep forgetting the ducting. So kono yona, it just means that kind of. So these actually are this kind of, that kind of, that kind of, that is like further away, and what kind of, right? And this is another important thing, the little drawings that I showed, right? Closer to the speaker, closer to the listener, further away from both. This also applies to metaphorical concepts, ones that are not like actual physical objects. They don't have to have like an actual physical location. For example, when I say, なんだろう, この感じ. What's this feeling I have? A kanji, a feeling, is not a something tangible. But I say この because it is my feeling that I'm experiencing, right? You could say something like あの感じ could maybe refer to maybe some feeling that someone else described or whatever, right? These concepts of koso ado apply beyond just physical location. They can also mean more metaphorical closeness to the speaker. They can also refer to maybe something that was closer in time. Something like when you refer to a concept or a thing that you mentioned previously, right? When I say like, that thing that I just said, right? That thing that I just said, right? That would be like sort of like, それは別に, right? Like それは or whatever, or what you just said I could refer to as それ. Because it's like you refer to it or you mentioned it and then I can refer to it as それ. That works too. We're just doing basic, it's okay to use anata, but sometimes it's better to use person. We'll talk about that after the lesson. There's nothing really to do with the lesson today, but it's an interesting topic to talk about, so I'll mention it in a bit. This lesson is actually not going to be that long. We're almost there. We're just want to introduce a few more words. So is konna informal compared to kono yona? Kind of, yeah. So you would maybe not use konna in an essay. That's kind of the way I would describe it with the level of formality. Often people in spoken language will say konna even when they are speaking politely. But maybe when you write formally, you would use the long version, kono yona. Yes, that's basically the long and short of it. Okay, so that's konna, sonna, anna, etc. Another one that was brought up before is kochira. So we have こちら そちら あちら And you can see how useful this pattern is because there's so many different words, but the pattern is always the same. どちら どちら Didn't forget the tenten this time. どちら こちら そちら あちら どちら Kochira, these are more for locations. Kochira, here, this place, this location. Sochira, your place, your location. achira, that place over there. Or dochira, which place is it? Kind of like that, okay? Kochira can also refer to like your situation, right? For example, when I say, そちらはどうですか? How is it for you? How is it over at your place, right? Can I refer to that? Like, how is your place doing? When I'm like, oh, the corona is going wild, but like, how is your place doing? Like, こちらはどうですか? Like, どうですか? Like, how is it going where you are? Or, あちらは大変そうだ. Like, over there, I hear it's horrible, right? あちら, their situation over there, that's crazy. I've heard. Okay, so that's こちら、そちら、あちら、どちら. Sometimes どちら is also used for this group actually is sometimes also used to refer to people. So it's like an indirect way of referring to a person. Instead of saying I, you say こちら. So you're saying, instead of saying like I myself, you're more saying like, oh, my place, my situation, right? Kind of like that, right? So it's like a less direct way of referring to yourself. Hey, おはよう. And that's what makes it a little bit more polite in some situations. Instead of saying 私 or any other like first person pronoun, you could say こちら, because you're sort of being a little bit more indirect. The same for どちら. You might hear どちら様でしょうか sometimes when maybe in a business setting or in a store, someone asks you who you are. They maybe say こちら、どちら様でしょうか? Like, who may you be? Who might you be? Could you tell us who you are? So just a very polite way of saying that. Yeah, so these often get shortened as well. So こちら actually sometimes becomes こっち or こっち. So you'll see this as well. And then そっち or そっち, あっち or あっち. 行動. Yeah, that's another good one, Mayakoya. So that's another one that we're going to talk about. I need some space, so I'm gonna make some space. Remember these, okay? Okay, so these are really good as well. Ko, so, a, do. And yes, a is actually also used. Even though it sounds a bit weird. Ko, I feel like with this new electronic music in the background, I'm more like hyped up. Ko, so. I don't know if it's good yet. Maybe we'll go back to lo-fi next time. You let me know. Ko, so, a. It is kind of exciting, you know? And do. Again, ko, so, a, do. Same pattern. Hype Japanese learning, yeah. Ko, so, a, do. This is kind of... These are sort of like adverbial. They describe how something is. They are like... it's like, in this way. In this way. And then in that way, in that other way, and in what way, in which way. I'm gonna go with which, maybe a bit more accurate. In which way, right? So we can say こうしてできるよ. Like こうして that way. If you do it that way, して here is する to do. こうして if you do this, できる you can do it, right? こうしてできるよ. If you do it this way, you can actually manage to do it, right? こうしてできるよ. That would be like a usage of こうそうあ. And then so these describe sort of, they attach to verbs actually. So these are adverbial. So these attach to verbs and they tell us in what way something is done. So this in そうですか. Yes, exactly. そうですか. Is it that way? Right? そうですか. Yes, exactly. That's where you get そうですか. And you can also get どうですか? How is it? How is it? Right? How is like, it's adverbial. How is it? Literally attaches to the to be kind of in English as well. So, and then you can have some words like どうやって, right? どうやって. How do I do it? How is it done? どうやる? How to do, right? Does that make sense? So these are the adverbial ones. こう、そう、あ、どう. Last two I didn't know. どうやって like どうやってできるの realizing things I never knew before. Yeah, so that's why I bring this up all as one big group, because it's all the same. That's once you make the connection, you're like, these are all the same group of words. Interesting. It's all these ko, so, a, do prefixes, and they all work in the similar ways. So ko, so, a, do. That's exactly how things work. There you go. Mind blown moments. I know, right? Let me think if I'm missing a big one. I think these are like the ones that I just the ones that I just showed you is basically the most used ones, I'm pretty sure. We have, most of all, you'll see kono and kore, and then you'll see dono and stuff. What about usage? It's the same, just that it refers to like a thing that's sort of removed from the listener and the speaker. Say you're talking about someone who's, say you're at the gym and you're talking to your friend and you're looking at someone else and they're doing it wrong. And you could say like, ああやったらダメですよね. Like, if he does it like that over there, that's bad. Are we doing koko soko? Yeah, there you go, koko soko. That's another one that I should mention. Thank you, gamer buddy. That's a good one, I need to mention that. But does that make sense? Didn't we miss koko? Yes, that's the one that we missed. Did that make sense, RX4? I hope. Like, it's the same principle, sort of something that is maybe a bit removed from the speaker and the listener. Just like adverbially, it's like an action or a way to do something that is removed from both. So the last one that we're going to look at are for places. Koko. Good thing I kind of almost slipped my mind, but these are very important as well, of course. Koko, soko. Asoko. That one is a bit weird because it's basically soko with an a in front of it. Because ako sounds a bit weird, I think. I don't know. Asoko and doko. So these are also not too bad. These are just location. These are locational. Koko, here. Okay. Again, here, close to the speaker, right? Here, this place. Soko. There, basically. This is close to the listener. There, where you're standing. The place where you are. Soko. Asoko. The place over there where this other guy is standing, kind of. Like over there or whatever. Over there. And doko is just where, the question word. Where, okay? Where. Here, there, over there, where. So, for example, I can be like, Koko wa sugoi tokoro. This is a crazy place. Sugoi tokoro. Tokoro is just a place. Koko wa sugoi tokoro. This is a crazy place. This is a very interesting place. So helpful in connecting the dots. Yes. Kosoado. Asoko. Banana. Banana. There you go. Kosoado. And that's most of what you need to know about the kosoado words. You have any questions? Anything that still doesn't make sense? Kodo this way, but I'm not sure. Kodo. I can't think of a context where I've heard that. I'm not sure. Those are kosoado words, and they all work the same way. And they're magical. And once you know them, you're like, I can perform literal grammatical magic now. Look at me sprinkling magic over my sentences. That's basically how it works. Yes, kosoado. There we go. Not hard. Damn, Graham buddy, that's so cool. They changed the way this looks. It's all bold-faced now in chat. I'm sure they did that because you're so cool. Because if you weren't that cool, there would be no reason to actually change the reason it shows up. So, I have to say, it's pretty unbelievable. I hope that my lessons can live up to the coolness of my viewers. I'm not so sure because they're so cool. It's really hard. Every day I wake up in the morning afraid, but also excited. Because I know how cool the people are that watch the stream. Thank you very much. Alright, that was our kosoado lesson. I hope you enjoyed that. It was short, 40 minutes. Damn, Beth is cool too. Everyone's cool. It's hard to rank at this point because everyone's so cool. Sheesh. I don't even know. I don't have words. What can I say? Except, you're welcome for the star. It's a good song, that. Anyways, Beth, that's really cool. 10,000 points. That's ichiman. In ichiman has 3 zeros and a 1. Actually, has 4 zeros. I can't count. But, sorry. Sometimes when people are this cool, I get flustered and then I forget how to count. That's just how it is. Because people are so freaking cool. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. There we go. I think this is a good place to call it for this lesson. And then I'll see you next week, hopefully, for the next lesson, where we might do something a bit more complicated than this. But I wanted to get this done because it's quick and easy, and it needs to be said, and it's very important. So remember this, kosoado. Very important. We're reading today? Hell yeah, we're reading today. So, thanks for watching Japanese 101, and now we'll have a reading circle.